The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Hi, this is Brad Marcus, and welcome to another episode of Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Today's guest hails from the great state of New York, to some. It's worked for such promotions as New York Championship Wrestling, Asylum Pro Wrestling, and Ace Fusion Championship Wrestling. Along the way, shared the ring with likes of Moose, Percy Drews, John West, inspirational speaker Tony Robbins, Riley Shepard, JJ Wright, HVO, and I could go on. So let's welcome today's guest, someone who is pro-oxygen. I give you the madness of Trip. Hey, Trip, how are you?
Good, real good. That was a nice highlight video.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you liked it. Those are always fun to make. Okay, and I don't mean to start this on a sour note, but I just had a question. I don't think I've ever asked anyone. Does a promoter ever, like, have you seen this happen where a promoter does it, takes a title off someone, because it's personal outside the ring?
So to blur those lines of what's part of the show and what's not, sometimes that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's our business is the ultimate stab your friend in the back kind of business. It's very judgmental. It's very political. It's God. It doesn't happen. Yes. Is that the case in this one? Not at all.
No, yeah, not at all. I mean, so it's rare though, like that you've ever seen that.
Have I seen it? Yes.
No,
I have seen it. Let's see. If we were looking at 19 years, I can count on one hand how many times I've actually seen it happen. So yes, it's very rare.
All right, let's lighten things up. When you die, no, I'm just joking. So, did you grow up in? So you grew up in upstate New York?
Western New York. I could throw a stone and hit Canada. I'm that close. I'm I'm Buffalo, New York. I'm at Lake Erie and Niagara Falls, that area.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is it still, what's the weather like this time of the year? Is it still cold?
We had snow a couple of days ago, and today was just shy of 60 degrees in spring. So it's Mother Nature in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, she's incredibly temperamental and will change her mind on a dime.
And like, have you gone to Niagara Falls like once and then not go back?
I've been to Niagara Falls a bunch of times.
Oh, okay. Is it fun up there?
Yeah, it's a sight to see. But after you've been there, you may not necessarily need to go back.
Were your parents from the area?
My family is predominantly from the Buffalo, New York area, or spread across the eastern Pennsylvania area. Family in like Collegetown, Hazleton, Allentown, Carbondale, Mayfield. So we're specifically like the Napa Valley, that area.
What about your mom and dad? Where were they? Did they grow up in separate places?
Between Buffalo and between mostly Carbondale, mostly Buffalo.
Did you have any siblings?
Nope. Only child. My mother got it right the first time.
Oh, okay. So did you ever feel lonely?
Yeah, kind of lonely, but had a bunch of different friends growing up. I had a really, really active imagination. Really enjoyed writing, and big nerd, big gamer nerd.
Really? Okay, so like what kind of games? Dungeons and Dragons type
Uh,
nerd?
played D&D. Absolutely
Which I'm
played
not
D&D.
looking
Played
down on.
Vampire the Masquerade.
Because I had played that.
Nope.
So
Definitely grew up playing D&D, but I was also a big RPG fanatic. So like everything from Shining Force, the Final Fantasy series, and every RPG that came out for Sega, Super. Big Final Fantasy 7 fan, especially God. I still play RPG video games. Those are still my favorites.
yeah, those are great. Did you play them online or like a console?
No, I was a console gamer. I was never really a PC gamer, except for like the Fallout franchise and the Elder Scrolls franchise when they were first iterated.
Okay. What was your favorite console?
Probably the PS2 was the best console that's been produced.
Really? Like
Yeah,
to
like
date?
even to date, just because the PS2 graphics wise was ahead of its time, and then the game catalog and how it spanned into the PS1 was probably the best created console. PS3 started off okay, but
Mhm.
it tapered off real quick, and the 360 trounced it. And then, I went towards Xbox after that. But now I'm still behind on consoles. I only have my PS4 and my Xbox One, so I don't have a Series X or a PS5 yet. I'm behind,
Okay.
but I'll get there.
Yeah, it's excusable. Um, do you have any children?
Oh yeah, my
Uh,
my daughter's having dinner right in front of me right now.
okay, so is she old enough to play as well?
She's definitely a gamer. Actually, so I have her. We have I got my three boys here too. We're all a bunch of gamers in this house.
Oh, what age did that start? Because I'm kind of like on the cusp of that.
Uh, I think my daughter started playing when she was probably 3.
Really? And does she play the same games that you guys play? Like now?
She likes a little bit of everything. We got the retro Super Nintendo, so she played Final Fantasy 6 on that for a little bit to check it
Oh,
out. She loves Fortnite, but she also really, really, really likes Minecraft.
okay. What about
Oh
Roblox?
God, don't even get me started on Hello Neighbor. Oh my God, she's obsessed.
Oh God, yeah. We ordered that over the pandemic in the early stages. Yeah, that's a creepy game. But I never
Oh yeah.
had stuff like that. Like I was trying to tell my kids, like games weren't like they are now. They were vastly different. Like you were limited by
Oh yeah.
the technology then. Um, so now these nerdy things you used to do, did you do those with like a group of friends, or was this like you at home in your bedroom?
Both. Yeah, it was at home by myself or my friend Nick growing up. He had Sega Channel, so that's when you had online gaming before there was online gaming,
That's
and we would always party at his house.
Oh, that's hilarious. Um, oh, when you said you had you said you had the Super Nintendo, the mini one.
Yep.
Did you get like the one? There's like a version where it's like unlocked and it's got like every game on it.
You can get it jailbroken to the point where it acts as a glorified emulator, and you can download a bunch of things to it. I haven't done that, but I know it can be done.
It can be done. Okay, okay. Um, okay, back to when you were a kid. So when did like wrestling make its come into your orbit?
I was 3 years old. I remember one of the first matches I watched was the Rockers and the Hart Foundation, and I was obsessed.
Okay, and I know at 3 years old, maybe you're flipping around on the channel. I don't remember those those little milestones in the children, like when they figure out how to use the remote. Was this something that you tuned in like by yourself, or did somebody purposely put it on or stop at the channel?
It was a combination of my mother and my uncle. My mother would take me more live events, but I was always watching it on TV with my uncle.
Okay, okay. And she was fine with that at age 3.
Oh, of course. She actually used to date a professional wrestler.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yep.
so she kind of knew like the the lifestyle of a pro wrestler, I imagine.
She knew the lifestyle of a pro wrestler from the 70s and 80s. The lifestyle of a pro wrestler now is vastly different.
Yes, totally. It's vastly different. But like, so your uncle, did he have any like wrestling background, or he was just like a big fan?
He was a big fan. And then they lived in the same area as the Wild Samoans. So I mean, it was they're down the street.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Did you love it right away?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, been obsessed since day one.
So then, have you were you a regular like Monday nights I'm watching, and then whatever Wednesdays, Fridays, but like were you like a regular viewer?
Oh yeah, I remember the one time I think I was like 8, maybe 9 years old, and I was sick and I was staying home from school, and I literally slept all day, but I woke up for Monday Night Raw.
Oh really?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that pays your dues, for being a fan. Did were you like with your kids, or like say your first child, did you have any reservations showing that to them, seeing that seeing your dad like getting beaten up, or your dad beating up somebody?
No, I had no reservations. They've been around it forever. My oldest, he actually debuted a couple of years ago, and had his first pro match. I started training him when he was 10 years old. So, and he's going to be 20 next week.
Oh my God! Congratulations, you're 20-year-old. Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that a strange relationship, training your son? Like it's separating dad from, all right, the person who's training you to become a pro wrestler.
I think early on, more so for him, it was strange about that separation between here I am to train you. I'm not being dad right now. I'm being your trainer. I think it was harder for him, but as he got older, he understood why that separation took place.
And was there like a point, like, a year in, 2 years in, where you're like, if he was of age, he could wrestle right now?
Oh, at 14 years old, he was prepped and ready. He could have actually worked, but
So
most states don't let you till you're 18.
Okay, oh God, was he so frustrated in high school?
Yes, very much so.
Did he like do amateur wrestling, or something to fill that void?
He played baseball. He played football. He's still very active and into music. So no, he had a lot of other things to occupy everything. But once he turned 18, he was on the road with me, and he was working shows.
Oh. Okay, we'll get back to you in a second. I'm just very curious about this. Did your son's friends at, say, what, age 14, you make what, a freshman in high school?
Yep.
Did they think it was the coolest thing, like that this guy's a pro wrestler?
That would be more of a story for him to tell. He had a nice little ebb and flow about some people liking him or him being annoyed and then going out of his way to piss some people off. So that would be more of a story for him to tell.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you're a big fan of wrestling. Did any of your buddies like wrestling as well?
From my childhood, that we were all wrestling fans. I was the only one that took the plunge. Mm-hmm. And then when I was breaking into the business, I broke into the business with a few people And out of everyone I broke into the business with, I'm the only one that's still standing. That's actually still doing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. In high school, were you a good student?
I was a good student with a short temper.
And what did that translate into? Like, what did
A lot of
cause
suspensions.
problems?
Yeah, a whole lot of suspensions.
Oh, really? So did your mom
Yeah.
have to like go to the school a lot for meetings?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then a couple of times I wouldn't be allowed back into school until she came in there to have a meeting with the principal. So no, it happened a lot.
Okay. And what was there any discipline like, on you at home?
Usually just stuff taken away.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, telling me that I couldn't go outside. I didn't care about going outside anyway, so that didn't bother me.
Yeah, totally. You can't watch Nickelodeon. Okay, I'll watch, 50 other channels. I remember my mom used to take like our Sega Genesis, but she was so terribly careless about hiding it. We'd have it back hours later once she left the house. It was never
Yep.
like that. Okay, so did you have a plan in high school what you were going to do after high school?
I was very focused on my writing, and I always kept saying that I'm going to be a wrestler. So that's literally what my two things in front of me were: writing and wrestling.
Which kind of relate, right?
To a degree, I didn't really want to write like plays or TV or anything like that. I like novels. I was a big Lord of the Rings fan. I love fantasy worlds, and again, as we mentioned at the beginning of this, big D&D nerd. So a lot of my writing was heavily focused on creating my own world, my own stories, my own characters. And I think that's actually what helped translate into the character building and character dynamic of what I present for wrestling.
Yeah. So the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit stuff, like my brother used to read that to me like when we were growing up. Like did you ever see that Hobbit? I guess it was a cartoon, the animated movie from like, 30 years
Oh yeah,
ago.
I love it so much. I love it so much more than the live action Hobbit adaptation. The
Yes.
animated one is so much better.
The spiders were terrifying at the time.
Yes. Oh, but they were so awesome. And Sting, I love that design of Sting compared to the live action movie.
Totally. I could watch that movie every day. Okay. So, oh, it comes, did your mom expect you to do something after? Was there an expectation to go to college or anything, or a desire on your
There
part?
was there was an expectation for me to follow up with more of my dedication to English and to writing because she enjoyed my short stories, she enjoyed my poems, she enjoyed all those things, and she thought that's where I was going to go. And it's like, no, I have an imagination, but I want to do this. I want to throw people in a ring. I want to entertain people.
At that
And
point, had you ever been in a wrestling ring at that point?
a couple of times, from the age of like 13 to 16, I would be in one in a case by case basis.
Oh, okay. So, was at independent shows?
Yeah, predominantly down in Pennsylvania at the time.
Okay. And so you were like heavily aware of independent wrestling at the time?
I didn't really look at it as independent though. Like the idea of independent wrestling didn't really hit me as independent until I was old enough to actually do it.
Okay.
I just looked at it as kind of like not even practice really, because again, I saw that there were fans, I saw that they had music to come out and everything, but it was always larger than life to me. And until I really crossed that threshold of being a fan to being a student, it never really dawned on me that it's like, oh, this is what leads to this. Because I studied when I was younger and I watched like USWA, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, old AWA, and I just knew that, oh, these are other wrestling companies. And I always put them on the same level as at the time WWF, currently WWE. But it it didn't really hit me that, it's kind of a tiered system without it being a tiered system.
But that's a good way to come into it, right? Like, because you get exposed to all types of wrestling and all types of wrestlers, and you don't think of them as one's like inferior to the other. This champion's inferior to the other. You just see them as, champions or just great wrestlers all across the board.
Yes, yeah, and that was always a thing that I questioned. You mentioned champions, and you mentioned like different companies and their champions. Mm-hmm. I always had a question about why does every company have a world champion and not just a federation champion? So like one of the classic titles, the old Winged Eagle, was referred to as the World Wrestling Federation champion. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that like companies should identify as having a federation champion because it's like your top dog of the company. Because if you look at it, you had your WWF champion, your NWA champion, your WCW champion, your AWA champion. And once I started putting a world on it, I at the time I didn't understand. I understand the procedure goes with it now.
Yeah.
But I'm still of the mindset that you should have a federation championship, not a world championship, unless you're quite literally having the top talent and the top wrestlers from all around the world.
I've never thought of it that way or had that articulated in that way, but that makes complete sense. Like, it's like, oh, now you kind of question that. Were you keeping up with like your physique and everything, cardio, anticipating that this was, you were going to find a trainer?
Not at all. No,
really?
I'm the.
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to. So, what made you think? And this is not to be offensive. What made you think that you could be a pro wrestler if you weren't like in shape or not that kind of shape?
So I thought I was athletic enough to do it, and from when I got into the business, even up until my early 30s, so for a very, very long time, I neglected, not early 30s, more like late 20s. I very much neglected my physique and my health, thinking that just my in-ring ability and just the gimmick and what I presented would be enough. So I really, really just kept my health at the wayside. I was like, I got 2 out of 3. I'm good. It should be enough. I'll be the first to admit I was completely 1,000% wrong. It's just as key to be in shape, and I'm in better shape now than I was when I was in my 20s.
Did you learn this on day one that you were like lacking?
Yeah, but I would persevere and still do it anyway. Yeah. I was told it's like, oh yeah, you're never going to do it. You're not fit enough. And I think maybe the chip on my shoulder at the time, and I was a little bit more on the spiteful side by saying that I won't do it because I'm not fit, was just, well, if you think I'm not fit, I'm going to do it in spite of you now.
Yeah. Do you remember like when you said, I'm going to do this? Did you pick up the phone? Is this online? Did you go somewhere? Like, how did you know what to do?
So I would learn from anyone that would teach me for a very long time. And then I did backyard wrestling stuff, and I would teach them what I learned from in-ring stuff. And then it was a matter of breaking into the business with a couple of close people. And we all had, levels of training. And at 18 years old, I was ready to go out there, and I was just jobbing. I was just getting my ass kicked. I was under a hood. I was under whatever name they wanted me to be because I had no confidence in my face or my ability to speak.
Yeah.
And then, I was a very, very self-conscious individual. And didn't think that
comes with it.
Didn't think I had the it factor. I really didn't.
Really? But there was still something telling you that you could, be successful.
I didn't know about success. I just knew I wanted to do it. And I was 20 years old, and myself and a few other people were leaving one company to go to another company. And when we went, I ditched the mask and said, listen, I don't want to do that. I I want to just be me. I have this idea, or I have this idea. One's good, one's bad. Which one do you want me to do? And well, Trip was born.
Was Trip? Were there elements of that in your writing growing up? Like, did you draw anything from your writing?
No. Trip was literally my secondary option that I didn't really want to do, but because they needed another good guy, they're like, "Oh, hey, just do that one," and I kind of just I was winging it for a while.
Were you upset about that?
I wasn't upset. I was just completely caught off guard. I thought taking an idea and presenting it in a way, and that was going to be the big selling point. And that's when I first started to get the lesson that it's not so much what the entertainer or what the worker wants to do, it's what the promoter needs. And I became what the promoter needed.
Were you pretty much ready for like your first like official match, like in a quicker time than other people who came in at the same time as you did?
In a quicker time, no, not really. There were some things that I probably caught on to a lot easier. I think I caught on to, playing to an audience and certain moves and certain bumps. I think I caught on to some of those easier, but there were a lot of other things that I got hung up on, even actively working for a couple of years.
And were you hard on yourself about that?
I still am. I'm my own worst critic.
Oh, really? So can you enjoy?
Yeah.
Can you enjoy watching like a playback of a match you've had? Like, can you just be entertained by it or no?
It's that one's kind of a loaded question. There are times where I'll watch something and I will completely dissect my own work, to a point where I'm overly critical, maybe. And then there are times where I'll go and I'll watch it because I want to see it, be like, man, did that look as good as it felt? And that's when I'm pleasantly surprised.
Like, do you remember watching, like, when your kids were younger and them seeing you wrestle? Like, could you get excited watching it through them, and not like analyze it?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. So unfortunately, a fellow wrestler and a friend, Jeff Greeno, who wrestled as Anarchy, unfortunately, he passed away recently. And I actually went back and I looked up the first match that I had with him. And in watching that match, I remember how much fun I had. I remember earlier in the day, all the antics that we did. And you can actually hear my oldest, when he was 10, he liked me and he liked Anarchy, and you can hear him saying, "Let's go, both of you," because he didn't want to pick sides.
Oh, that's
so. Yeah, so watching that and then hearing him, for nostalgia purposes, I was watching the match, but because I missed my friend, I was watching the match, and then hearing that made me enjoy watching the match again. So there are times where I do watch my stuff and I get some enjoyment out of it, but 90% of the time I watch myself and I'm just a critical dissection of all of my work.
Like, how quickly after you had your like first match did you see a replay of it?
I didn't see my first match as Trip until a month after the show.
Oh, really? And was it, that was just like that's when you got it for the first time, like access to it, or you didn't want to watch it?
Up here, we actually had on the public access channel, we had a show called WrestleBlast, where I was a part of the company. I was doing interviews with WrestleBlast for a period of time and had my own TV personality from the age of like 16 to 18. And it wasn't until my match aired on... Oh, no, they didn't pay.
Yeah, it wasn't for money. Go on, I'm sorry.
I was a teenager, and it let me go to indie shows. It let me go to CZW, and it let me go to very, very early Ring of Honor.
Oh, that's awesome. Go on, I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. But it wasn't until my match aired on that show that I actually got to see the first match as Trip with my blue and yellow wet look tights.
Did you do you design like like not physically designed, but like in your head, what you like your gear, everything like that?
So I'm a horrible artist. I can write something and
Uh-huh.
I can verbally create something. I'm the kind of person that can butcher a stick figure. So
So you can
I'm the
write about
person
a
that will come.
box easier than making one, like drawing a
Yes,
box.
absolutely.
Okay, okay.
But I'll come up with a concept, and I usually will go to someone else who I know is more artistically inclined than I am, and
Okay.
I let them have like, here's my idea. Beyond my idea, have some creative freedom because I like the personalization.
Yeah.
You could sit there and give them bullet points and hey, steps 1 through 10. That's all I want, and you may not be satisfied. If you say,
Mhm.
cool, I want steps 1 through 10, but I only filled in, half the numbers, you fill in the rest, and you let them have their personal creative freedom on it, I think you get a better result.
Yeah, they're the expert.
Mm-hmm.
Once you find somebody that you trust, you're like, yeah, you do your thing. This is kind of things I wanted in there. Oh god damn my dog. Sorry.
Oh,
So
it's cool.
so when did you start thinking about Trip?
Well, so that's a loaded question. Mostly that it's a loaded question that Trip has gone through a very interesting evolutionary process.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I started as trying to be a big kid that became a pro wrestler, and while I was entertaining, it just wasn't enough. Then I tried to incorporate my love of heavy metal and tried to be a headbanger, and still mildly entertaining, still
Mm-hmm.
not enough.
Not
I
enough
then
for who?
tried cutting
For fans or yourself?
both.
Okay.
Both. I was still a glorified filler. It didn't feel like I was reaching my potential. It didn't feel like I was
Mm-hmm.
reaching an audience well enough. I tried cutting all the hair off, kind of like what I did recently,
Mm-hmm.
and I switched to a singlet and kick pads and tried to be a wrestler's wrestler, Kurt Angle style. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that one bombed. That failed hard.
And this is one
So
after the other at that point.
I would run with it for a few months
Okay.
and almost a year. So at this point, I'm probably about 2.5 years in. So I'm,
Okay.
you know,
So was that like really
yeah,
discouraging, I imagine?
I was getting frustrated. I
Okay.
really was.
Like
And
in
then a friend of mine actually had a fellow wrestler, Brian, had moved to North Carolina and then moved back. And at the time, for two different companies, one in Buffalo and one in Rochester, we were both kind of lost in the shuffle. So someone pitched the idea of us teaming together. And when we did, everything started to click. Everything as far as like our work rate, our merchandising, how to play to an audience. Like I learned more the first year of teaming with him about being a wrestler and being an entertainer than I did in all my years prior. And that's when everything really started to open up for me.
And did you realize that at the time? Like, could you, or is it looking back? Like, were you aware at that
Um,
time? Like, okay, this is, something's happening here.
I was very surprised at some of the dumb stuff that we were doing and how people loved us for it.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to try and not overthink what I'm doing and just let some of the natural stuff that comes to me happen.
Yeah.
And that lesson was apparent then. Merchandising and being able to, invest a little and get a bigger payout, that lesson was apparent then, but I didn't learn or I didn't recognize some of the more important lessons on actual like doing business for the sake of doing business. That one I learned then, but I didn't realize the lesson was there until much later.
Now, was it fun being, at such a young age, like on the road? Or is that
Yeah,
really rough
I
on
was
you?
probably no, I was a party animal. I was, whatever I can get, I'm gonna do, and whatever I can drink, I'm gonna drink. I was a horrible individual. Like
Were
I
you
was I was
completely
partying it
different
up.
from high school to at that point, like a completely different person?
Oh yeah, I was very very antisocial and very very quiet, reserved in high school, and
Yeah.
now a couple years into wrestling, now I'm a party animal. I was just shy of an alcoholic. I was doing like whatever drug you could put in front of me. I was all about it.
Did anyone like your loved ones or friends like express concern?
I never, to their knowledge, did anything excessively. So they always looked at me that I was doing it recreationally. And at the time, it was probably really, really stupid, but it's, it was a lifestyle. It was a lifestyle that I adopted that didn't necessarily need to be there. But I figured since I'm going to live and party and do all these things and be presented as larger than life, well, I may as well, party larger than life. And that's what I did.
Did that ever affect like the actual in-ring work?
No. So that was one thing that was always a cardinal rule for me is I would never do anything before a match.
Okay. Oh, nice. So like, would you like, did it ever become like you had a great match or you had a good time of the show and then you go party? Was it ever like the reverse where it's like you didn't feel like you did well and okay, I'm gonna go drink or do whatever because
that happened a couple of times. I would be really, really pissed about something, and yeah, I used to drink excessively if I had a bad match. Air quotes bad match. Because I could dissect something and hate it, and the fans and other wrestlers are like, "No, it was great." No, I hated it.
Yeah. Do you how long was this all going on?
Oh, that kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Probably almost a decade, probably 10 years.
And like, did it like eventually catch up to you?
It did. So it was November of 2011. It was when that really, really bad like storm hit the whole East Coast and like froze up a bunch of highways and like no one could drive anywhere. Part of New York City was flooded. Like there was a bunch of stuff that was going wrong.
Yeah.
And I had used all of my stuff, and my supplier couldn't get any because again, no one could move. Mm-hmm. So I remember waking up, crap weather, everything was shut down. It was a Saturday morning. I woke up. It's like 7 a.m, and I couldn't. Or normally when I would wake up, I would use something to start my day.
Sure.
And at this point, I had woke up. I don't have anything. I go sit on the couch. I turn on Netflix, and I'm like, so what do I want to do? And the next thing I know, it's 9 o'clock at night, and I lost 14 hours. I lost my entire day because I didn't have a substance that I was accustomed to having to get my day going. Yeah. And that's when it hit me that, oh, I need to stop this.
And then, so how do you stop?
Cold turkey was the only way that I could. And I wanted to die. I hated every minute of it.
Oh man, did you the person you're married to now? Did they know that side of you?
So when we first met, early 2011, she was actually going to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I was actually in the women's room, and I was actually selling some stuff to someone. And she walked in and very clearly said, "I don't care what you're doing. I have to pee." And then 1 year later, we're at the same bar, and I'm sober at this point, and not drinking, not doing anything. I literally have a bottle of water, and we bump into each other, started hitting it off, started dating 2 months later.
And you remembered her from the year before, her just coming in to go to the bathroom?
I slightly remembered. She remembered much more vividly than I did because she looked at me and said, "Wow, you cut your hair off."
So you guys have been together since?
Yes.
And does she enjoy coming to your shows?
Sometimes. I've kind of ruined wrestling for her because now she'll watch stuff and she'll actually predict things as it happens before it happens. And she does so to such an extreme degree that she's like, I can't enjoy it like I used to.
Like, is it like the same as like the person who goes to like the magic show and keeps talking out loud of how he's doing this?
No, that's me.
Oh,
She'll do that more when we're home.
okay, okay. Have you ever taught her any moves?
Um, I've walked her through a couple of things, and then sometimes when I want to test something out, I grab one of the kids and ask her to watch to see if it looks good.
Oh, okay. And does it generally
Yeah,
always look good? I can imagine manhandling a
sometimes
child.
they're used to it. They said waivers.
Oh, totally. As when they came out, like the doctor
Yep.
made it. Um, you know, as your character like evolved, do you have to like change your move set or like take things out and put new stuff in?
Yes. So my idols were Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, which are wrestling style wise very, very, very opposite.
Hmm.
And I've always enjoyed the submission ground style wrestling and suplexes, but I always thought that the flash and the flare and all the flashy moves were the way to really get a good response. So I very much focused on that early in my career. Uh, when I when the Trip character eventually evolved into the madness of Trip,
Hmm.
that's where I decided to be a lot less flashy and actually wrestle the way I want to wrestle.
Hmm.
Because in my perspective, the fans started to respect suplex and ground and submission style wrestling more so around that time. So I was like, oh, now you have now I can do what I enjoy doing, and I'll get the same responses when I was doing all the flashy stuff.
Did do you have to like ask like do you ever feel like do you need to ask permission to use a move that someone else is using? Like do you have to communicate with your, peers about that?
Uh, yes and no. There's a lot of moves that are very, very, very commonplace that
Hmm.
you might see them. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the super kick now. The super kick I used to use as a finish,
Uh-huh.
and now it's something that you see randomly in the middle of a match.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't throw that as a finish anymore. Um,
Was
but
that
aside from
annoying
that,
to
you
you?
will see. Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
because one of
It
the
was.
best ever, that was the finishing move, and it was amazing.
Yep. And
Um,
now it's everyone throws one.
yeah, everyone does. It's crazy. Do you ever like do you now or in the past ever wake up in the morning and like, ugh, on the day of a match, like, ugh, I don't want to wrestle tonight.
I used to.
Hmm.
I got to the point like that, especially from it would be case by case from 2014 to 2017.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I actually I left the business for a little while in 2017, and
Hmm.
then in 2018 I did a play that was about independent wrestling, and I came back to wrestling in 2019. And since coming back, I haven't had that. I haven't had that dreading,
Hmm.
waking up. Oh, I don't want to do this today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So
have moments where I'll get to a show and I'm told what's going to happen, and my eyes roll in the back of my head because I don't agree. But I'm there to do my job anyway.
oh gosh, how often does that happen? Like, do you have a little more control over that now?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, my view on it is I want to work and I will do whatever the promoter needs me to do,
Hmm.
but I will take as many liberties as I feel necessary, and I will give them what they want my way.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Um, are there like good promotions and like are they all run differently?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's a very, very safe statement that no promotion runs the same. None, not
Okay.
a single one.
So you have some good ones, you have some bad ones, some in betweens.
Oh, I mean that's subjective. I mean, what defines a good promotion and a bad promotion? Is it based on you know the size of the audience? Is it based on the quality of the matches? Is it based on the production? Is it based on the roster? Is it based on how loud or how quiet fans are? So, I mean, you can't really judge, a good and bad promotion except subjectively. I might look at one promotion and say, I hate this place, but someone else might be the top dog, paid real well, and the fans love them. So, I mean, it's a very, very subjective statement to call one thing good and one thing bad.
Sure. Do you have like a certain routine on a match day, or is it just normal and then like I'm working tonight?
I'm up early. I try to go to the gym. I try to get my tan on real quick early in the morning. I come home, do all my grooming, clean up, double check to make sure everything is packed, and I try to be, very, very punctual with arriving. On a show day, I'm not big into eating anything prior to the show because I don't want to feel like anything's weighing me down. I don't want to feel bloated. And then after a show, I will eat everything in sight. I will warn parents, if your child is left unattended, I have barbecue sauce and a grill. Do not leave your kids.
So like you'll have like a huge, like you've worked up an appetite all day and have this huge, is there a certain thing that you like to eat afterwards or just anything?
It depends on where I'm at. If I'm in Pennsylvania, it's usually going to be sheets because we don't have those up here.
Oh, that's right. Do you guys have good barbecue at all?
We got good barbecue, but I mean, dude, I'm from Buffalo, New York. It's pizza and wings, bro. We beat everybody.
Okay. So do you still like spend time on the road, and like does your wife come with you? Like, has it changed?
On occasion, I had the whole family there. November last year, I actually wrestled. It was like 2 weeks after he had won, but I had wrestled Moose when he was Impact Heavyweight Champion, and I had a bunch of friends and family that came from Buffalo to see that one.
Oh, that's really cool. What's the best thing about being a pro wrestler? Let me back up a second. When did your kids stop thinking of you as like a pro? You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, he's on TV, and then it's just dad on TV. When did that start going away? Like becoming a superhero and then just dad?
Let's see. I think for my oldest and my youngest, once they started to get into the ring, it went from, wow, my dad's a wrestler too. Gotta go to training. And then but my other two boys, I think they stopped being very, very fanboyish when I broke my neck.
And then it became like serious.
Yeah, then it was one of those, oh, this is real.
Did that like really scare them?
Oh, it scared all of us. August of 2012, I broke my neck in 2 spots of my C3.
Oh my! And did you you knew something was wrong immediately?
Oh yeah. You can ask any wrestler, anyone that's done any kind of big thing that involves any kind of headshot. When you get that nice stinger and you get that quick flash of white light, I didn't get that. I hit and my entire left side went numb, and I knew instantly I was hurt.
Oh my God! Do you remember laying there right now? Like right now, you remember laying on the mat and.
I remember laying there. I remember looking up at the lights, and I remember thinking, I can't move.
How did you get to the back?
I didn't. I got pulled out of the ring, flopped onto the floor, and then the ref came over to check on me. I said, I need you to get the doctor. I can't move.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Okay.
He went and he got the doctor. I remember everyone was up against the guardrail. Yeah. And I remember seeing my kids, they were crying because they knew I was hurt.
Oh God, is that hard to deal with? Like knowing that, you know what I mean? At the time, on top of your injury, you worry about your kids. You don't ever want to see them, crying and scared and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was gut wrenching. It was heartbreaking. It didn't even hit me how bad it was. I didn't think my career was over. Okay. I'm too stubborn for that. But I remember I remember the gut wrenching feeling when I was told that not only did I have to stay in the hospital for observation, I had to speak to a neurosurgeon in the morning, and that's when the realization of how bad the injury was just completely scared the crap out of me.
Oh my God! So, did you have to like rehab like a crazy amount? Like, did you say is it worth rehabbing to get back to this?
I knew I had to get back at least for one more match because I refused to have it taken away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually my neck healed without any surgery.
Oh, really? How long did it
Yep.
take?
Not anywhere as long as we were anticipating. My neck was broken in August 25th of 2012. November 7th of 2012, I was given 100% medical clearance by Buffalo Neurosurgery, and then I had my first match back December 1st of 2012.
Oh my God! When did the feeling come back? Like when the time that this initially happened?
I started to get the feeling back in my left side probably about 5 or 6 days after the initial injury. Or actually, no, not even the initial injury. It was probably like 10 days after the initial injury, but I was home now almost a week.
Wow! So what's going through your head at the time? Like,
I hated it. I was in a neck brace for like 23 and a half hours a day. I took the neck brace off twice a day, once to shower and once to scratch my neck. And the one of the worst things was one of the first meals I had when I got out was steak. And when I went to cut my steak, both of my hands went numb because just that sheer pressure of just putting a knife and fork to a piece of meat, it was too much for my neck to handle. So for a while, I had to have my food cut like I was a child.
oh my God! And that was just whoever you were with at the time. Did you get depressed?
No, that was. I definitely got depressed. I was uncontrollably just angry. I was angry at the world.
Yeah, I imagine. And did it affect things?
It was probably. Oh, it did. It was probably more maddening for me that here I am. I'm 100% clean at this point. I'm trying to live a better life and do things the right way, and now this happens.
Oh my God! But was there a moment you're like, you know what? Screw this. I'll be back.
Yeah, the second I got home.
Okay, the second you got okay, and like your wife's on board, and like your family's on board for getting the ring again.
They weren't necessarily on board because it was scary for everybody. No one wanted me to get hurt again, and I said that I don't have the luxury of being scared because if I'm scared, that's when I'm going to make another mistake, and that's when I will get hurt again.
Okay, and so I'm not going to ask my next question. I'm just going to knock on wood really quick. Is your son okay? So your son is he missing any of the great experiences you had because you're with him now? Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's decided to take some time off. He had some nagging injuries from when he played sports in school, so he's on the mend right now. So what I tell anybody that's part of the business and then leaves, the business was there before. It'll still be there. Just take your time, and when if and when you're ready to come back, it'll be there.
And like when he's ready to come back, like is he free to if he's ready to come back? I didn't mean when. Is he free to go on the road without you? Go to promotions without you?
Oh, absolutely. No,
does he need to experience that kind of stuff?
Well, so JJ's first match was actually on the road. Okay. He actually hasn't even had the opportunity to wrestle in his hometown yet. So he was on the road working in Pennsylvania, working in Rochester. Like he was working a couple of places already just for his debut.
Oh, okay. That's right. Do you look at him and as like a piece of clay, and you're like, he could be better than me if I did this wrong, so I'm going to train him to do it like this way.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
And he knows that?
Yes, he does. And if he doesn't, I need to remind him.
What's the best part of being a pro wrestler?
The best. God, the best part of being a pro wrestler. Oh man.
Like, is it the experiences? Is it like the physicality? Is it like the people you've met? There's a little bit of everything.
I'd have to say the top three things, and not in any order.
Sure.
No specific order whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Is definitely the people I've met is one of the top three. Mm-hmm. Being able to entertain. I love to entertain people. I really do. Mm-hmm. And then being able to evoke any kind of emotion out of people, whether you're getting them to love you or you're going out of your way to make them hate you. Being able to, with your body, be able to evoke that kind of raw emotion out of people is really empowering. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about it too.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Do you have like an end date in mind, or you're just going until you can't go?
I originally wanted to be done by the time I was 40. Okay. However, since my youngest, she wants to get into the ring, and she's only going on 9 years old. So that means she still has another 9 years until she can do this. Yeah. That means I might be stuck at least for another 10 years.
Oh, God. Well, and so your boys are older?
Yep. I got the full range of 19 going on 20, 14 going on 15, 13 going on 14, 8 going on 9.
Okay. So 10 years from now, the boys, they'll be out earning on their own. So it'll just be you training her.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe you just go on a lighter schedule for the next 10 years, until she's ready, and your boys can make their own money. Hopefully, for your sake.
I would, but I'm still decent at what I do.
Yeah.
I'll let fans decide if I'm good or not.
Do you still like love wrestling? Like you did, like as a kid?
Yep. Yes, I do.
Do you ever look back and say, wow, I became a pro wrestler? As the 3-year-old boy who first saw it on TV?
Yeah, I do. I look at that and, I think back to how many, friends over the years, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And they didn't follow through. They didn't pursue, a lot of people that settled.
All right. I've kept you long enough. Can I ask you 5 non-wrestling related questions? Just yes or no questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. If called upon, could you do the Roger Rabbit dance?
No.
Okay. Do you, like Kyrie Irving, do you believe that the earth is flat?
No.
Okay. Because I always say, I think if the earth was flat, we would have seen someone fall off the side at this point. You know what I mean? Like if it's flat, there's got to be. But anyways, that's a science episode. For $1.6 million, would you change your name to the Happiness of Trip?
Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of Eskimos? Inuits.
I was going to say the individuals or the pies.
Ooh, that's a good one. So let's start with the individual.
Nope.
Are you scared of the pies?
Only on days that end in Y.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to ask you now this bonus question. Have you ever cried because like the food you're eating tasted so good?
Yes.
May I ask what that meal was? Or you want to keep it private? I understand.
It was a date night,
Mm-hmm.
and we were at a place that's now closed called Gordon Biersch,
Okay.
and it was one of the best steaks we've ever had with these pickled red onions. Like there was everything about it was just tops.
And you teared up.
Yep.
So you were with a like your girlfriend or wife?
Yep.
Did they have to console you? Like, did that person have to get up out of their chair and like, it's okay, it's okay?
No, she started laughing.
Yeah, I imagine. Oh God. Yeah, it takes away a whole advantage when that happens and they see you cry. All right,
Yep.
thank you for coming on a Friday evening. I really appreciate it. My technical issues to start the show, my marble mouth at certain points. I apologize, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate. I was looking forward to this today. So
Hey, no problem, dude. Thanks for having me.
it was my pleasure. Stay healthy and happy, and I hope you and your son have great success in the future. And maybe one day we can get the both of you back on here.
That'll be fun. Thanks.
All right. Even if he hasn't pursued it further, because I'm sure he's got a ton of stories about getting trained.
Oh, yeah, and he's gonna. Oh man, I'm gonna sound like a monster when he talks about those.
Okay. All right. You take care, and we'll talk again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Bye.